Well, Dan, it's a question I've asked your manager, so I'll ask you. It's a very general, broad question and hard to answer in a space of 60 seconds. But how do you assess the season, both from Bristol City's point of view and from Dan Bentley's point of view?
Indifferent. I think in terms of Bristol City's point of view, I think we've made progress. I think we're probably a better team and a more well-drilled team than what we were 12 months ago. And I think the season's probably ended at the wrong time for us, to be honest with you, because obviously we've been coming into a bit of form. Finally won 2 games on the bounce, which seems strange to say after 9.5 months of a season. But you hit that little bit of consistency. You're solid at the back, which we have been. The lads up front have been doing what they've been doing for the majority of the season, and things start to come together. But I see that as progress, and I see it as something that's exciting for next year because it's something we can build off.
Absolutely. The attack at Bristol City is the envy of many teams in the Championship. Do you acknowledge that it's defensively that was one of the reasons Bristol City is 17th and not higher in the table?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. We've scored, I think, up there with the most goals we've ever scored. And I'll be corrected on the stat, I'm sure, but it's certainly up there with goals. I think we're third or fourth behind the likes of Fulham and Bournemouth, or maybe one more. Which is, it's testament to the lads that have been doing that all year. I will say we defend as a team as well. So whether that's set plays, I'm sure the lads up top for all the goals they've scored will take partial responsibility, as everyone else takes all the way back to me for the amount of goals we conceded as well. And I'm sure the lads up top will also give praise to the service they've received all season, whether it be set plays, whether it be through balls from the midfield or balls over the top from the defence, all the assists that they've been given. I'm sure they'll be appreciative of them as well. But in answer to your question, no, absolutely. We know, and we've known for a while that we've needed to buck our ideas up in terms of defending our goal. We've conceded too many goals, haven't got enough clean sheets, and it's something that we've been working hard to put right. So I think if you look at recent games, we've been a lot more defensively resolute and solid. And I think that sets us in good stead in terms of the mentality we take into next season, knowing that we've almost proved to ourselves that it's doable, but we need that cohesive nature between us. And when we do things right and when we're on our A game, if you like, clean sheets come, and so the less defensive goals conceded.
Absolutely. You had a little spell out the side earlier in the year, but now very much you're Bristol City's captain, you're the first choice goalkeeper. Are you looking forward to, I know we've talked about contracts and things like that, but how much are you looking forward to a long future at Bristol City in a very unpredictable sport that is football?
Yeah, it's very unpredictable. I often explain this to people who aren't football minded, if you like, who are known, people who I meet, and they kind of seem to think that when you move somewhere, that's kind of it. That's how things work. But I always have to explain that football is a very volatile sport. It's very cutthroat, and things can change very, very quickly depending on opinions, depending on contract situations, depending on what a player wants and what the player needs are, what a club's needs are. All these contributing factors which come into the position of a player in terms of contracts aren't really thought about through the naked eye, or your average Joe, if you like, who doesn't understand football as much as the people that are in it. But like I've said before, guys, I'm happy here. I'm motivated to play in the Premier League. From the day I signed here, I said that I came here because I wanted to play in the Premier League, and I felt that the club were ambitious to go and achieve that. And that's something that hasn't changed. There's still a burning desire in me to play in the Premier League. As where I sit now, I'm contracted next year, and I'm looking forward to it.
And the simplistic answer to this question is fighting for the playoffs or promotion. But where would you like Bristol City to be in 12 months' time when we're having a similar conversation at the end of the season?
I'd like us to have made more progress. And and that might be a little bit vague. But it's easy for me, and it's easy for every club in the division to sit here and go, yeah, we want playoffs. Well, yeah, of course, everyone wants to get promoted, everyone wants playoffs. But, you know, I said that at the start of the year, and it was something that genuinely, did I want it, and did I think we could achieve it? Yes, obviously it hasn't played out like that. Do I think we've got the ability to go and get in the playoffs? Well, yeah. If you're going to go back across the season, you look at the amount of games we've thrown away in last minutes, and I think I saw a stat not so long ago that we'd be 15, 20 points better off. All of a sudden, you're knocking on the door for the playoffs, if not in them. But hindsight's easy to judge. But I'd like us to make progress next year, and then just see where it takes us. We've got a young squad in the main, players that are learning their trade. A lot of people's first championship season has been this season, so the expectation then grows for next year.
And just finally, Nigel, I think, mentioned he's going to take 22 players to Huddersfield. So even those who won't be involved, it's just good to have all the players together on the last day of the season. How do you describe Bristol City behind the scenes as a unit in terms of spirit and togetherness?
There's a quote that Thomas Frank used about Brentford a couple of years ago, and there's none of them here, and I'll let you do your digging on that. But there's no bad people here. So I'll let you paraphrase what Thomas said back a couple of years ago, which I thoroughly agreed with. And there's none of them here. So yeah, we've got a good bunch of lads. The manager obviously has recruited people who he believes will come into the changing room and be good to be around the changing room. I can't see the manager bringing people here who he thinks will disrupt things and be unprofessional in any sense or disrupt things with regards to being a bad egg or anything like that. So we've got a really tight-knit group. There's a lot of belief in each other. We push each other on a daily basis in the training ground. We trust each other, which is really important. And we're there for each other. So it's a good place to be.
I'm going to go and hunt down that quote, I think. Listen, I'll see you on Saturday, and thank you as always for talking to us.
Pleasure.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, mate.
Hi. I just want to ask you about the comparisons of the end of last season compared to this one. It's been chalk and cheese really, and kind of the momentum you can generate going into next season. Because in particular, I imagine from last season and last summer, it can linger on players' minds heading into the new season. How does that kind of compare this time around?
Well, last season finished on a bit of a damp squib, really. We were poor. There were lacklustre performances, and it wasn't very. I wouldn't say it wasn't a nice place to be. It wasn't. No place is a nice place to be when you're not winning games. But yeah, it's got a different feel about it this time because the motivation is still there. And I'm not saying that lads weren't motivated last year, but the feel was just different. The manager is still demanding of us like it's day one of the season. So, nothing has changed with regards to our preparation. We're still approaching every day as though we would have done 9 months ago. And I think that is the best way because, if we want to go out and perform well, I'm sure we'll take a good following to Huddersfield as well. And, they've supported us amazingly all year, like I made reference to after the game the other day. And it would be remiss of us to turn up and put in a poor performance when they've paid their hard-earned money to turn up and support us. So if you want one motivation, there is.
You mentioned about the defensive frailties this season, but over the last 9 or 10 games, it has been a lot better. You've had a number of clean sheets and you've had a couple. Having that consistent back three in front of you, how much does that kind of helped as a goalkeeper in having confidence defending as a unit?
As a four, so myself, obviously the two Robs, and Tim. It's like Land of the Giants when we're talking together, but we speak a lot and communicate in between sessions, and for example, we did a defending session, I think it was last week, maybe a week before, and we're all stood there for 10 minutes talking through the best ways that we feel as a unit is to defend in certain situations on a specific drill we'll be doing. A lot of it comes from communication. I mean, I'm a big talker, and Tim is a big talker. Rob and Rob talk, but they're not big shouty presences. But that's just the way they are. Some people are different, and there's no right or wrong way to communicate. Tim and I are obviously very, very vocal, being the more senior boys in that quartet. But the other two are speaking more now than I'd say they ever have prior to the last 10 games or so. And that comes with experience, that comes with understanding of your teammates, that comes with confidence. And I think that those two lads in particular, obviously Tim is Tim, you know what you're going to get from him in terms of performances week in, week out. But those two lads, in terms of first championship seasons, in terms of relatively inexperienced, certainly compared to Tim and myself, have found form, found consistency, and with that grows confidence, and with that you get the little accessories like talking, moving people around and that kind of thing. And as a unit, it's only going to benefit us. So between us, we've got a really good relationship, very open and honest relationship. Those guys know what I expect, I know what they expect, and that breeds good performances, and it's a healthy demand of each other.
Tim name dropped you yesterday as in one of his closest teammates at the club. Obviously, we don't know kind of what the future holds for him next season, but have you been encouraging him to sign the contract that's on the table for him?
Yeah, well, I actually got. It sounds going to sound weird initially, but I'll explain myself. I got his missus' number for my missus, and they met up with the dogs over at Ashton Court a couple of weeks ago, and obviously she hadn't really met anyone, neither of them being from this area. So our families get on well, and obviously Tim's missus is expecting a baby as well, so that's fantastic for him. I hope everyone knows that. I hope I haven't just said that out of turn to spoil his news. But no, I get on really well with Tim. He's a great lad. He's an absolute weirdo as well, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying that. I seem to be attracted to weirdos because Tim and Thomas Callas are really strange people, but I love them. So yeah, strange, but no, they're great lads, and I hope for our sake we'll be a richer place and a richer team with Tim here next year.
In regards to your own future, last time we kind of spoke in the press conference, you said that it was down to the club to offer you a contract and nothing had been kind of decided as of yet. Is that still the case? Has there been any developments since then?
There's been open lines of communication. My agents are very, very receptive. They've got good relationship with the club, and they've had open dialogue. Obviously, nothing has been agreed as yet, but no, we're very much open to discussion. As it stands, obviously, I've still got a year left here, so as far as I'm aware at the moment, I'm not going anywhere. So we'll have to wait and see.
And Pearson was saying how he's spoken to a lot of his players regarding next season and kind of where they stand in the squad at the moment. Has he spoken to you and given you reassurances that you will still be the number one going into the next campaign? No,
and he's got no reason to. I don't need reassurances that I'm going to be the number one. The reassurance comes from my performances, and if I give him no reason to take me out of the team and my performances are good, if he takes me out of the team, I'll be the first person to knock on his door, and that's how I work. It's a bit of an old school approach, but I'm sure he would appreciate that, having come through that era of old school and you kind of knock on a door, shake hands after a meeting and all that kind of thing. That's the way I am. But no, I don't need reassurances. I haven't had a discussion with him about my future. I don't need to, as far as he's concerned. I would imagine he looks at my contract status and sees that it doesn't expire this year, so there's no desperate need for me and him to have a meeting. But I've got a good relationship with him, and I'm sure if he wanted to pull me, then I'd be the first to go in and sit down and listen to whatever he has to say.
I wanted to ask you about a couple of comments from Richard Gold last weekend, and there's been a lot of uncertainty for clubs in particular in the transfer market, but you also pointed out the players and the uncertainty that they have and kind of the unknown market, the summer market approaching. Not you in general, but like as a general consensus, does that is that feeling kind of shared, and that, I guess, the uncertainty of clubs coming in and futures, is that kind of sensed around squad members at the moment that don't really know where the future lies?
Well, I guess those that are out of contract, absolutely. I know there's a few, but until they sign a new deal, there's always going to be that uncertainty. If there's players that, I don't know what discussions have happened, but the gaffer's saying that he's had discussions with people. If there's people that happen to be surplus to requirements, then of course there's uncertainty for them as well. But at the same time, if they've got a contract, then they are where they are. And the market is a difficult one at the moment. So we're all very aware of the market. We're all very aware of COVID and the hit that it's had on football as an industry. We're all very, very aware of that. So I don't think there's anyone that's being unreasonable or would be unreasonable with regards to what they expect. I think expectations are certainly managed. And in terms of who's going to be here next year and with those expectations, or if they're expecting a move, then their expectations will be managed with regards to what actually comes to fruition or not. If their expectations now are above and beyond reality, then reality will soon come and hit them very, very soon, because the window opens in however many weeks or months, and will be open for, I think I read that it's open for longer this year. So yeah, we'll soon find out.
Thanks for your time, Dan.
Pleasure.
Good luck Saturday.
Thank you.
Hey Dan, hope you're well. Just want to refer to the time where you were where Max was number one, and you said about the motivations that you had to get back into the team. Have you seen perhaps a change in Max to keep you on your toes? Has he spoken to you about his time out on this side, and you've seen a change in him to keep yourself motivated during this running?
I haven't seen a change. It's obviously like Max probably hadn't seen me in that situation before, so the change that Max saw in me might have been slightly more obvious to the one that I've maybe not seen in him, because obviously I started the first 23 games, so that was a familiar situation for me and him. Whereas when he went in, it was probably all a little bit new. It's new to me because I've always been someone that's played nigh on every game. Up until then, it was probably new to him because he hadn't played in front of me before. So we probably both adapted to that situation a little bit. But we push each other in training every day, regardless of who's playing, regardless of who's not playing, and regardless of the situation. We have a good relationship. So we push each other every day, and like I made reference to plenty of times before, that's healthy competition, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I would be probably almost disappointed to have someone didn't push me and didn't care about playing. I thrive off of the competition. Obviously he wants to be better than me, I want to be better than him. I want to keep my shirt, he wants to take my shirt, and it was the other way around when he was playing. And that's how it is. We both respect each other and understand the situation, so there's no issues there at all.
One of the other people in the goalkeepers union at the club is Buse. I know he spent the season on loan at Taunton, but for a player to be that young and be part of the title-winning team, that's only going to do him so much good for the rest of his career as well, and perhaps his ambitions at Bristol City. He
needed to go and get games. He was a boy in a man's game before this season, in my opinion, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. He had never played men's football. So for him to go out and play the volume of games that he's played, with the pressure of potentially winning a league and a promotion, is going to set him in fantastic stead for his future, whether it's another loan, whether it's coming in and being part of the first team squad, whatever the case may be, is going to set him in good stead for his future. So, big congratulations to him on record that he's gone and done that, and I'm sure he will reap the benefits of that later on in his career.